One day after a woman was attacked and nearly forced into a man's car trunk, police say they have their suspect.
She didn't just stand there, she fought for herself.
What linked the man back to the crime scene?
Plus, hear from the Roy police officer who was pinned against another car as two burglary suspects made their escape.
Today's storm is moving out, but another one's on the way. What it means for your weekend plans.
I know this is something that I have to do.
As war ravages Ukraine, Americans, including people here in Utah, say they're ready to fight.
Freedom is everything. It really is.
Tonight, we find out why.
Utahns on the ground in Europe are already helping refugees.
We're all fighting the same enemy.
But they say there's still a need, and you can help.
And it's video you will only see here. The terrifying moments a massive drill rig came crashing down in Salt Lake City.
Live from Utah's news leader, Fox 13 News at 9 starts right now.
Thanks so much for joining us tonight. I'm Brian Schnee in for Bob Evans.
Hello, everyone. I'm Kelly Chapman. Tonight, neighbors say they're on high alert despite Logan police feeling confident. They found the man who attempted to kidnap a woman near a high school yesterday.
Fox 13 News reporter Emily Tenser has the latest from Logan tonight about this suspect.
Police say attempted kidnappings just don't happen here in Utah, let alone Logan. With the help of security footage and a tip from another law enforcement agency, Logan police were able to find this guy fast. The city of Logan can breathe a sigh of relief, knowing police are confident a would-be kidnapper is in custody.
We want our community to feel at ease that this situation is hopefully over.
Captain Curtis Hooley says the attempted abduction happened here on the sidewalk near 300 South, 150 West, just right next to Logan High School. Officers say a man jumped out from behind a car and tried to throw a 30-year-old woman into his trunk. The woman fought back and the man punched her in the face before fleeing the scene.
In watching the video, I mean, it is readily apparent that she didn't just stand there, she fought for herself.
Two high school students drove after the car to try and write down the license plate, but they had no luck. Neighbors who live right along that sidewalk can't believe that happened just outside their home.
In Logan, this is a small city for maybe kidnapping ladies. Wow, no good, no good.
We're always on our toes, always looking.
Logan police posted pictures of the man's gray Honda Civic across social media in hopes someone would recognize it. A law enforcement agency in Box Elder County had a man held on a separate charge that same day and believed it could be the same guy.
And an agency made contact with saying, we have this guy, he's driving a car that's similar to what you guys just put out yesterday afternoon, or the afternoon yesterday. And that's what led us to him.
Hooley says officers obtained a search warrant and found a piece of evidence that links that man to the crime scene.
We all need a break, you know, and that was a big break for us in this case.
Neighbors say they'll now be a little more attentive outside their home, but are thankful for law enforcement's speedy efforts.
It's always a great feeling when the officers are really quick to find somebody.
The woman who was attacked has a cut below her eye, but is otherwise physically doing okay. Now, we still don't know the name or the description of the suspect that they have in custody. Police expect charges will be ready by tomorrow. Reporting in Logan, Emily Tenser, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Now to a Fox 13 News exclusive tonight of that incredible video of the moment a drill rig collapsed on the State Street in downtown Salt Lake last night. There it goes. You can see workers on the ground. In the background there, run for safety. The ones in the foreground are kind of confused. The operator was taken to the hospital. The construction company tells Fox 13 News he has a small fracture in his lower back and is expected to make a full recovery.
As the drill rig tipped up, we believe that the cab was lifted into the air about 15, 16 feet and that he fell out of the cab or perhaps even made a jump out of the cab.
Multiple cars were crushed, but thankfully no one was inside of them. Jacobson Construction tells us the drill rig was operating as expected while doing foundation work for an apartment building. The company's chief operating officer says they'll do everything they can to avoid a repeat of this instance, even if that means implementing more safety measures.
I wish you to be the leader of the world. Being the leader of the world means to be the leader of peace.
That is Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky appealing directly to a joint session of Congress and President Joe Biden today for them to do more to help his country from Russia's attacks. President Biden signed off on an additional $800 million in security assistance to Ukraine, including anti-tank missiles and more defensive weapons. The aid announced today now brings the U.S. total of assistance to Ukraine to $1 billion over the last week.
Utah's congressional delegation is reacting to President Zelensky's speech. Take a listen.
I think every single member, members of both political parties and of both chambers of Congress, had their heartstrings pulled as President Zelensky described his plight.
We have heard from each of Utah's 6 members except Representative Blake Moore so far. All others praised Zelensky's leadership and called on the U.S. to do more to help.
Senator Mitt Romney, Congressman Chris Stewart, and John Curtis specifically mentioning wanting the United States to help send MiG fighter jets from Poland. Poland offered to give the jets to Ukrainian forces if the U.S. makes the transfer, but the Pentagon has expressed concerns over flying warplanes into contested airspace.
There's some people that worry that what we might do might irritate Vladimir Putin of Russia, that he might consider it some kind of provocation. Well, it's time for him to be more worried about what we might do than for us to be worried about what he might do.
The Pentagon expressed similar fears over establishing a no-fly zone over Ukraine. That has been less controversial, with no Utah congressman voicing support for that request.
You have to kill hundreds of Russians before you even begin to enforce a no-fly zone. And of course, you're taking those jets and you're using a base in Poland or perhaps Germany. They don't have safe haven. Vladimir Putin is going to attack those bases.
But we feel like more lives would be lost if we did that than if we held back and used some restraint.
Harsher sanctions against Russia, also sending more humanitarian aid for Ukrainians, were also common threads in our delegation's responses.
Right now, a small team of volunteers from Utah are on the ground in Poland helping Ukrainian refugees.
They need all the help they can get. Today, Fox 13 News reporter Jenna Bree spoke with August Mission about their efforts on the ground over the past few days.
August Mission's goal last week was to get 2 volunteers on the ground in Ukraine and identify the biggest need for refugees there. Now the nonprofit can tell Utahns how best they can help.
My heart is, I began to cry just watching this. This is unbelievable.
Max Morozov has lived in the U.S. for almost 30 years. For the past month, he's been talking to his friends and family back home around the clock.
Every single day, all day long, we talk to each other. I mean, whether it's a text message or they send me the video or something like that. But yeah, 24/7, we basically stay in touch.
Coordinating volunteers from Utah with authorities in Ukraine, Morozov has helped August Mission identify that the biggest need for refugees right now is medical help.
We've talked to the governor of Lviv in western Ukraine, and he wants us to help staff some clinics over there in hospitals. And so we're reaching out into the medical community and looking for any types of providers that are willing to donate their time.
Bruce Roberts says the nonprofit is looking for doctors and nurses to volunteer their time. As for donations, money is the best thing that Utahns can give.
There's a lot of stuff. People have given so much and given so generously, but many of those goods are sitting in Poland and they're just not being transported. I think that with what we do, putting skilled people on the ground in Ukraine, that takes money.
Both men say the outpouring of support from Utahns so far is unbelievable.
The whole free world are fighting this maniac, and therefore it's not only Ukraine fighting, the whole world is fighting. And it's a small price for us to pay for a little bit more expensive gas. But at the end, I think everybody will agree with me that we're all fighting the same enemy.
August Mission's goal is to raise $50,000 by the end of the month so they can fly out a group of doctors to Poland on April 1st. If you would like to donate money or volunteer, you can find more information on our website, fox13now.com. Reporting from Salt Lake City International Airport, Jenna Bree, Fox 13 News, Utah.
let's turn to weather tonight. Utah's Weather Authority meteorologist Allison Krogan. Allison, another storm may be off in the distance, but we might have some days in the clear before we make it there, right?
Yes, some very nice weather to end this week. Then we're going to see our wind picking up ahead of our next storm. But for right now, it's 43 in Salt Lake, 41 in Ogden, and 42 in Provo. It's not as gusty as it was earlier this afternoon either, and it's quite a bit drier. So we're seeing some clearing out there when you wake up tomorrow morning. Many of you along the Wasatch Front will have clear sky. Eastern Utah just into Blanding right now. We are still seeing a few areas of showers, but along I-15 we have dried out. But I-15 will become a trouble spot in a few days. Temperatures right now 42 in Provo, 39 for Delta, 39 for Milford, 39 for Cedar City, 55 currently in St. George, and we still have a little bit of a breeze right now. Price and in Ely, same thing for Ogden, about 20 to 30 miles per hour. Tomorrow morning when you wake up here along the Wasatch Front, right around 30 degrees with clear sky, sunny sky by 9 a.m. That sun will rise tomorrow about 7:30. The timing of our next storm coming up.
Go ahead and step on out over here.
New video showing a Utah officer pinned between two cars while going after a pair of suspected burglars. How that officer is doing tonight in a Fox 13 News exclusive.
An unrelenting Russian invasion is striking a chord with Utahns who say they want to join the fight.
You have to remember, these are civilians.
It has been nothing short of inspiring.
Tonight, I sit down with some of the people who have signed up to fight for Ukraine.
BYU's opening up play in the NIT, plus the Jazz and Bulls tonight.
And a heartwarming story on the slopes today. Meet the Make-A-Wish kid who lived out her dream at Alta.
Welcome back, everyone. The Utah Supreme Court now taking up a big case involving cell phone passcodes and constitutional rights. The Utah Supreme Court heard the case of Alfonso Margot Valdez. He was convicted of kidnapping and robbery in a case in Weber County. Now, he was accused of kidnapping an ex-girlfriend and then assaulting her. Police got a warrant to look at Valdez's cell phone, but he refused to give them the passcode. At trial, prosecutors told the jury Valdez's refusal could be implied as guilt. The Utah Court of Appeals sided with Valdez and declared passcodes are protected under the Fifth Amendment. The Attorney General's office took it to the state's top court.
It seems like we have two different issues here, whether compelling the defendant to give a passcode is a violation of the Fifth Amendment. And if it's not, then what remedy is available to the state?
The ACLU and the Electronic Frontier Foundation want the court to side with Valdez, saying you should not be implied guilty because you plead the Fifth under the Constitution. The court's decision could have big impacts on Utahns and their cell phones.
Utah Attorney General Sean Reyes is reportedly planning a run for U.S. Senate in 2024, and he'd be running for Utah Senator Mitt Romney's seat. Politico was first to report this news. Fox 13 News has reached out to Reyes' spokesperson, but we've yet to get a response. Former President Donald Trump has encouraged Reyes to run against Romney. Romney reacted to the report by saying he hasn't decided whether to seek re-election, but if he does, he told Politico, quote, "The best news I could get would be that Sean Reyes was my opponent."
Well, the time has come. Lake Powell has now hit a record low water level. Federal water managers say spring runoff should raise water levels soon, but that will only help in the short term. The reservoir is at risk of a power pool right now. That means water won't flow through Glen Canyon Dam, preventing it from producing hydropower and producing a chain reaction of even lower water levels in Lake Mead downstream. New at 9, a very special 14-year-old took some turns at Alta today, leaving her battle with lymphoma behind her as she hit the slopes.
Catherine Tiedemann chose Alta for her Make-A-Wish. She's been following the ski area on social media, thought it would be the perfect place to ski out west. She and her family love to ski at Sugarloaf back east, but for her Make-A-Wish on the slopes, she wanted to ski somewhere where none of her friends have skied before. Catherine and her family came all the way from Connecticut for this memorable trip. She's been in remission for a year and a half, and we wish her the best. Allison, they were skiing the trees today.
I know, impressive. And Alta's one of our harder resorts, so way to go. Well, I have a beautiful picture from tonight, New Harmony. I want to step out of the way so you can see a little bit of a rainbow in this picture. Becky just posted this in our Facebook group, and as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh my goodness, I need to share this with everybody on TV in a few minutes. So thanks so much for submitting that. We do have a system that is exiting and another one on the way. But for tonight, a few lingering showers. Snow showers will be possible through early tomorrow morning near the Colorado border, but overall high pressure becomes our main story. So we take you through Saturday morning and we start seeing some additional clouds streaming in as our next storm approaches from the west. Arriving Saturday night, seeing impacts along our main route, I-15. For much of the state, especially Cedar City to Salt Lake on Sunday, we're going to end up with some travel impacts as a good possibility. So something to keep in mind for any plans that you have this weekend. Let's go ahead and get you planning accordingly. 43 here in Salt Lake. Feels like 36 right now with our wind out of the north. We've seen a lot of clearing, so it's not as cloudy as it was this evening. We had such a pretty sunset with all of the dark clouds that we had out there. Right now across the Salt Lake Valley, we do have mostly clear to partly cloudy sky, and then we have a lot of clouds once you get south of I-70 and then along the Wasatch back into Colorado. Near the Arizona border, still seeing a few areas, some very light showers, and still a bit of a breeze through Ogden. About 20 miles per hour, close to 30 miles per hour for Price right now. It's also a little breezy over into Ely, but not as windy as it was earlier this afternoon for many people. Tonight, partly cloudy, could still see a few sprinkles, but the storm is now moving off to our east. So when you wake up tomorrow morning, many of us will be right around 30 degrees for Price, Eagle Mountain, Tooele, Salt Lake, Ogden, Provo. Temperatures up in the Cache Valley, mid-20s, and for St. George tomorrow morning dropping into the 40s. Then tomorrow here in Salt Lake, a cool start, but it'll be a really nice afternoon. So after school, it's Thursday afternoon, closer to the weekend. We're close to 50 degrees by 4 p.m., but much of our morning will be spent around 30 to 40 degrees. By 4 o'clock tomorrow, though, a lot of us are closer to 50 degrees. By 4 p.m. up in Logan, 44, 49 in Ogden, 50 in Tooele. Temperatures down into Cedar City, 51. And for St. George, mid to upper 60s tomorrow. Chance for precipitation here in Salt Lake City starts to go up. Saturday night, that's what's looking more and more likely. That number has been going up here with our data coming in this evening, so that looks widespread at this point. And then by Sunday, precipitation is likely in Salt Lake City. So let me show you a few things. Friday, a system brushes by to our north. We could see a few sprinkles out of that, but it's our next system that moves in on Sunday that's going to bring us that chance for some travel impacts along I-15 on Sunday. For St. George, you're close to 75 degrees Friday, Saturday. By Sunday, 61, could see some rain showers along the Wasatch Front. We're close to 50 to 55 Thursday, Friday. Saturday, low 60s, much cooler on Sunday. Let's talk about those travel impacts coming up in your Super 7-day forecast.
Allison, thank you. We'll see you in a few. Straight ahead, do you have some of these airborne gummies in your medicine cabinet? Some of them are being recalled. We'll explain why after the break.
And coming up at 9:30, as the crisis in Ukraine grows, some Americans now joining the fight in Eastern Europe, including people from right here in Utah. My in-depth special report that you will only see here is just moments away.
A breaking news update to the search for this suspected armed robber. South Salt Lake police confirmed 33-year-old David Harris has been taken into custody. Harris is suspected in an armed robbery at a T-Mobile store at 33rd South near State Street. Taylorsville police say they responded to an armed robbery call near 48th South and Redwood Road, chased after the suspect's vehicle. That vehicle matched the description from robberies in Salt Lake City and South Salt Lake. The suspect tried to run away in the Murray area, but police were able to catch up to him. A firearm was also recovered. A woman in the car was also taken into custody.
Let's go ahead and check in on where gas prices stand across the country and in the Beehive State right now. Take a look. According to AAA, the national average for a gallon of regular unleaded is now at $4.30. That is down just 1 lone cent from yesterday, but 5 cents up from this time last week. Utah's average cost of gas is above the national average at $4.35 a gallon. Salt Lake City's average gas price is $4.31 a gallon. Fox 13 News is trying to help you keep tabs on gas prices right in your own neighborhood. Grab your phone right now. You can scan that QR code we have up on your TV screen. That will take you to a special page on fox13now.com showing the current price stations are posting at this very moment.
For the first time since 2018, the Federal Reserve raised interest rates by a 1/4 percentage point today. The Feds hinted there could be more increases, as many as 6 this year. It aimed at taming soaring inflation. The idea is that as borrowing costs rise, customers will spend less and ultimately lower demand will bring prices down to more normal levels. So what does it mean for your wallet?
Getting loans, getting refinancing, getting your first mortgage is going to be a lot harder as these interest rates go higher.
Most credit cards have a variable rate directly tied to the Fed's interest rate, so your annual percentage rate could go up. Both long-term fixed and adjusted mortgage rates will also likely climb. Gone are home loans in the 2 and even 3% interest range. But with rates still low compared to some historic highs, experts say it's still a good time to look into refinancing.
Brian, these are a pretty popular supplement, and right now, millions of bottles of Airborne, the brand gummies, they're now being recalled. They're marketed as helping the immune system. The Consumer Product Safety Commission announced the recall after 70 reports of the cap popping off the bottles of those gummies. 18 people reported minor injuries. 1 suffered an eye injury. The recall affects some 63 and 75 count bottles in blueberry, pomegranate, orange, and assorted fruit flavors. They were sold from May of 2020 through February of this year, 2022. We have a link at fox13now.com with all of the details.
The world watches as Russia unleashes its war machine on Ukraine. And it's compelling people from all over to act.
They want to travel to Poland, cross the border, take up arms in defense of Ukraine.
Freedom is everything. It really is.
After the break, I find out why these volunteers from the Mountain West are ready to join the battle.
We can put a stop to it.
And fight for Ukraine.
I will take up arms to help these people defend their sovereignty.
I think if enough people get involved, we can put a stop to it.
We should be there.
These 3 American men are not in the military. However, they say they are ready to fight for freedom on Ukrainian soil, resisting the Russian invasion, even if it costs them their own lives. They're among hundreds, perhaps even thousands of everyday U.S. citizens making plans to go to the battlefield.
It's in my heart. I know this is something that I have to do.
Shane Porritt is on the job in South Salt Lake. Wearing a yellow armband is a constant reminder of where his heart is. He's a digital press operator.
So is that ready to go in?
But he says he's ready to trade this for this.
Are you prepared, Shane, to go into war?
I don't think anybody's prepared to go into war. But if I have to, which I feel that I have been called to do, if war is that calling, then absolutely. And then you see what people are going through there. Missiles going into children's schools, hospitals, their homes. It isn't military upon military, it's a man that is now putting his military towards civilians.
Even though he's got a great job, a loving wife, and 2 young children at home, he's wanting something else right now.
To give hope and support to those people, to the families that are losing everything.
It's a real good versus evil story here, you know, and I think that resonates with a lot of people.
Jonathan Friedman is the honorary consul for Ukraine in Utah.
In 2008, the Ukrainian ambassador to the U.S. came to Utah to officially open up my office.
He's helped Ukrainians with legal issues, business development, but lately,
I've gotten several hundred emails from Utahns, largely from Utahns and people in the surrounding kind of states in this region that want to take up arms. They want to travel to Poland, cross the border, take up arms in defense of Ukraine.
How do you prevent a Holocaust? You get involved.
62-year-old David Splann, a former Marine, lives in Arizona.
But at my age, people might think it's a little bit crazy, but I'm physically fit. It's devastating to watch the news right now and see what's going on over there. I mean, you've got people stopping tanks physically by standing in front of them. That takes a lot of courage. We need to step up now before it's too late, and we're running out of time.
I'm one of 17 Marines in my family, so we have a great tradition in my family in the Marine Corps.
51-year-old Marcus Golder lives in Idaho. In his younger years, he was in the reserves, but he never deployed.
So I always feel like I let people down that I haven't gone and done my part, you know.
Having recently overcome what was thought to be a terminal illness, the father of 7, who has a master's degree in social work, says he sees purpose in joining the fight.
I'm an old man, but I can still carry a gun, you know, and right now I think this is a game changer for what's going to happen in our world.
They are committed, they're determined, and they want to make an impact.
While inspirational and noble, this is extremely dangerous. What do you tell these people?
I think part of the vetting process is to make sure that people know what they're signing up for. Make sure that they know that when they land on the ground, they're in battle.
In order to formally join what's called the Foreign Legion of Territorial Defense of Ukraine,
So they would need to complete an application and submit it to the embassy. There's an interview process.
applicants should be between the ages of 18 and 60 with a valid U.S. passport and must be able to purchase their own airfare to Poland, where you'll cross the border with the battalion, then be assigned a weapon, fatigues, and become part of the Ukrainian forces.
I ended up being a teacher in 28 years, teaching medical science. There's a lot of ways I can help.
Technically, David's age is over the limit by 2 years, but that may not stop him from going on his own.
I would feel less of a man if I didn't get involved. You know, even if they had me out there working as a cook, that would be fine. But I hope I can be of service to them.
Said if I find a way to get there, that's my battle is can I figure out the way to get there?
As for Marcus's children,
The only thing I can teach them at this point in life, I can teach them how to serve, to love one another. If I'm serving others, I'll be taken care of. And whatever is supposed to happen to me will happen to me.
Right now, I'm just waiting on passport.
Shane says he is going for sure. And his employer, Hudson Printing, says they'll hold his job for him while he's away. As for his family,
I know my family's going to be safe here. I know it.
Have you thought about not coming back?
Yes. And to think about that is very hard. I would love to see my boys grow up and to experience their lives, to grow old with my wife. But who would I be if I ignored what I felt in my heart, if it calls for me to lay my life down, to save one person, or to help in any capacity, small or big, is good enough for me.
Well, Kelly, thanks to you and photojournalist Manuel Rodriguez for sharing this story with us. It's eye-opening, and it really is remarkable to see what lengths people are willing to go to help during this time with so much devastation and uncertainty overseas.
I tell you, Brian, it is unbelievably admirable, but also amazingly dangerous as well. One thing to note here is the U.S. State Department just this week, they came out with an announcement urging Americans not to become foreign fighters, saying in addition, of course, to personal risk, Americans risk national security by entering Ukraine and then becoming targets themselves. Still, however, Shane, you saw there in my story, he says that he is going no matter what, and he plans to have boots on the ground within 2 weeks.
A lot of courage. Thank you, Kelly.
You're welcome.
Coming up, we're now hearing from the Roy police officer who was pinned against another vehicle during a suspect getaway. It's a story you will only see right here tonight on Fox 13 News. Allison?
And coming up, one storm is exiting, but another is on the way. What you can expect for impacts to your weekend plans with travel. Coming up.
In some world news tonight, a 7.3 magnitude earthquake struck off the coast of Japan. This happened off the coast of Fukushima. Some damage has been reported, but nothing major, and there are no word of any casualties tonight. The quake knocked out power to more than 2 million customers in Tokyo and surrounding areas. Back here at home, 2 men are behind bars in connection with a deadly stabbing in West Jordan late last month.
24-year-old Mario Morales and 30-year-old Raul Cortez were both arrested, accused of stabbing and then pushing this man, Cesar Martinez, out of his car on Bangalore Highway near 80th South. Police say Cortez was driving Martinez home in his Dodge Dakota when Martinez and Morales got into an argument. That's when police say Morales allegedly stabbed him 3 times.
Mr. Martinez opened the door, and again, we're not sure whether his attempt was to get away or what was going on, but Mr. Martinez opened the door and Mr. Morales pushed him out of the moving vehicle onto Bangalore Highway, where he was left to die.
The 2 suspects are now in the Salt Lake County Jail on robbery and murder charges.
Out over here.
Okay.
Hey, I will shoot! Get on the ground! Get on the ground now! I will shoot!
This was the moment that Roy police officer Aaron Nelson was pinned against another car when a pair of car burglary suspects took off. Last Friday night, police were responding to a report of 2 women looking inside of vehicles with flashlights. They found the 2 suspects inside of a black Audi SUV. After trying to get those suspects to step out of that car, that's when the driver hit the gas. Officer Nelson spent the night in the hospital. He was injured when the side mirror of another car was pinned into his back. Thankfully, he is on the road to recovery.
I'm sore, might have some longer term issues, might have to get like a knee surgery on my knee, things like that. The physical effects will go away. It's just the mental aspect of this, of what could have happened, and things that tend to linger with us a lot longer than the physical ailments do.
If you recognize either of the people inside of that vehicle or have any information, you are encouraged to contact Weber Dispatch.
A tournament bringing together basketball teams from 8 big Utah high schools. Why it won't impact any athletic standings, but may still have a bigger impact.
Coming up in sports, BYU and Southern Utah both playing postseason games at home tonight. And the Jazz had a big matchup against the Bulls. This was a good one. The highlights are on the way.
Thanks, everyone, so much for joining us on Fox 13 News at 9. Kind of a dreary, damp day. We did see some slivers of blue sky now and again throughout the state. Utah's Weather Authority meteorologist Allison Krogan will have your forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
9:46, thanks for being with us tonight. Members of the LGBTQ+ community often encounter discrimination in almost every aspect of their lives, including what career they might pursue.
Now, Brian, a new study authored by professors at the University of Utah and Tufts University looked at discrimination in the world of physics, both academically as well as professionally. The study finds many LGBTQ+ students and physicists often leave the industry due to hostile work environments.
When we look at the study, there's a number of ramifications that can be taken away from it. But what's critical is that the perception of a hostile climate for LGBT+ in physics is going to limit our ability to retain talent into the field.
And while prior studies looked at challenges physicists face due to gender and race, this is the first study to focus on LGBTQ+ physicists specifically. Researchers have applied for a grant to extend the study to follow said physicists every 5 years.
Utah students are learning skills to help change the conversation surrounding suicide and how to lend a helping hand to those who might be struggling. Hope for Utah held the first of 4 conferences where Hope Squads from across the country gathered to learn about mental health issues and ways they can help fellow students. Hope Squads offer peer-to-peer support for students who might not always feel comfortable going to teachers or supervisors with any of those problems.
Teachers aren't going to hear everything about the students. They're not going to know what the students are feeling, but you'll know more about your friends than the teachers.
It makes me feel happy because I'm helping other people feel happy, and that's our whole goal.
Hope Squad offers programs for elementary, middle, and high schools operating in more than 1,200 schools across the entire country. If you'd like to learn more, we have a link to their website on ours, fox13now.com. And remember, help is available 24/7 with the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. The number on your screen is the best resource. Just call 1-800-273-TALK. That's 1-800-273-8255.
A tournament in Davis County won't impact official athletic standings, but it may have a bigger impact in its own ways.
We're doing some awesome basketball right here at CHS.
It's amazing to see what these kids do. It's the best part is seeing the smiles on their face and the people cheering for them. It's the best feeling in the world.
Just love this program. Students of all abilities play in unified games organized by the Special Olympics. Now, in the Unified Champions Tournament, 8 high schools sent teams to play basketball. Some of the teams are organized to be competitive while others focus on the fun of the game. That's what it's all about. First Lady Abby Cox says both types of teams include students with and without intellectual disabilities.
It's a beautiful program. It's all about inclusion and making sure that everyone feels a sense of love and belonging and be able to compete together.
And while this is the first annual tournament of its kind, Unified Sports have been happening on a smaller scale with some of the same volunteers and athletes involved.
What a great idea. Well, we're finally going to be able to get outside and play some outdoor sports this weekend on Saturday with some warmer temperatures in the forecast. For right now, bedtime on this Wednesday night, 43 in Salt Lake, 41 for Ogden, 42 currently in Provo. Check out this beautiful picture that just came in our Facebook group from Stephanie Wilson. Utah Lake tonight, a beautiful sunset, the alpenglow out there that we ended up getting a break from the storms as our storm has now shifted off to our east. We still have a few flurries out there up in the mountains, but overall much better driving conditions for almost all of you this evening. Rain has moved into Arizona and really dissipated once that sun went down. So here's what you can expect for tomorrow morning. Mostly clear sky here across the state. Still the chance for a few areas of snow showers across eastern Utah early tomorrow morning, but overall will be mostly clear here along the Wasatch Front. Waking up in Provo at 29 degrees, 30 in Tooele, 33 for Salt Lake, 31 for Ogden at 7 a.m. Clouds start to move in late in the day tomorrow with our temperatures around 40 to 50 for a high. For St. George, you're close to 65 to 75 Thursday, Friday, Saturday. By Sunday, you're about 10 degrees cooler with additional clouds this weekend. Overnight temps will be in the 40s and 50s. And here along the Wasatch Front in your Super 7-day forecast tomorrow, St. Patrick's Day. I'd be remiss if I didn't remind you to wear green tomorrow. My late grandfather would be very upset if I forgot to remind you. Our temperatures will be close to 50 degrees tomorrow afternoon, so if you do have any fun plans, you're definitely going to be able to enjoy the temps the next few days. By Friday, partly cloudy, 57 degrees here in Salt Lake City. Our temperatures are on the rise till Saturday. We're going to have a warm and windy first half of the weekend. And then by Sunday, we could see some travel impacts out of our next storm as it moves in. So Saturday, mostly cloudy here in Salt Lake and pretty windy. I want to show you Futurecast starting Saturday. Saturday evening, rain and snow starts to move in, and by Sunday night, we still have that chance for some snow along the spine of Utah and maybe some of our valleys. So by Sunday, we're almost 20 degrees cooler. We have chances for rain and snow. We could see some travel impacts, especially on I-15 Salt Lake to Cedar City. So we'll end up with some potential impacts out of this system. Best bet for travel would be during the daytime hours. Keep in mind that thanks to daylight saving time, we are now seeing that sunset around 7:30. So as long as you can be home by then, you'll hopefully be fine. By Monday, 47 in Salt Lake, 52 degrees next Tuesday, close to 60 degrees by next Wednesday.
Well, after losing to the defending NBA champion Milwaukee Bucks on Monday, the Jazz played another tough playoff team from the East tonight in the Chicago Bulls. Juancho Hernan-Gomez got the start for Bojan Bogdanovic, but Daniel House also out as well. The Jazz went inside to the big guy to start the game. Rudy Gobert has the throwdown. He had 14 points and 20 rebounds. Mike Conley looked good again tonight after scoring 29 against the Bucks. Hits the three. He had 14 points and 7 assists just before the half. Jordan Clarkson, three is good. He had 26 points. Jazz led it by 5 at the half. Donovan Mitchell had a big third quarter. Step back three. Yeah, he hits that one. Then he uses the screen and drains another long ball. He had 25 points in the third with 7 3-pointers. How about one more? Off the dribble, pulls up from long range and hits it. He led the Jazz with 37 points. And here's a nice no-look pass to Nickeil Alexander-Walker. His three is good. He had 16 points. The Jazz won at 125-110, a big bounce-back win for the Jazz. Great game in Brooklyn with the Dallas Mavericks and the Nets. Luka Doncic with the fadeaway jumper. The Mavs up 2 with 22 seconds remaining. The Nets answered with Kevin Durant. His three is good, and the Nets were up 1 with 10 seconds on the clock. The Mavericks, though, got it to Spencer Dinwiddie for 3 and the win. The Mavericks won at 113-111 to keep pace with the Jazz at 43-26. BYU took on Long Beach State in the first round of the NIT. Fousseyni Traore gets it inside for the easy two. The Cougars controlled the paint. Caleb Lohner gets it down low. Then the jam. He had a career-high 20 points in this one. The Beach led it by as many as 8 points, but the Cougars took over in the second half. Alex Barcelo found his range. Here's Gideon George inside. Takes his time, gets the bucket and one. He had 16 points. Then he gets it to Barcelo for another three. He finished with 14 points. BYU cruised to a 93-72 win to advance in the NIT. Southern Utah took on Kent State in the first round of the Basketball Classic. John Knight III in for the jam for the Thunderbirds. They were up 5. Trey Marine was a big game, feeling it. Long three. He led Southern Utah with 27 points. Harrison Butler had a big three late. Southern Utah won at 83-79 to advance.
Those retro jerseys?
Little throwback.
They're cool, yeah.
May wear them from now on out in basketball.
Bringing them luck tonight, at least.
I know, in a tournament game.
Great consolation prize for our two hometown teams,
sure,
right?
Why not? Yeah.
If you're not in the big dance, hey, this is the next best thing.
Keep playing.
Thanks, Jeff.
We'll be right back. Well, Netflix is cracking down on password sharing now. They're testing out a new tool that would have subscribers add sub-accounts for people they don't live with. The new accounts would come with separate logins and profiles and cost a few extra bucks every month.
Is that going to mess up your Netflix account right now?
Not mine. Nope, I'm a good boy. We'll see you for Quick Cast.
I'm on my dad's.